Imagine going to bed feeling completely fine, yet waking up utterly transformed, unable to speak, to move an arm, or even to recognize the faces of your loved ones. For many over 60, this nightmare is closer than they think, potentially triggered by the very activities believed to keep them young and healthy. As a brain doctor with over 3 decades of experience treating the devastating aftermath of strokes, I can tell you that the most heartbreaking cases often don't stem from obvious culprits like poor diet or smoking. Instead, they arise from something far more insidious and unexpected. Seemingly innocent everyday movements and senior-safe exercises that, when done incorrectly or at the wrong time, can silently strain your blood vessels, dangerously spike your blood pressure, and create the hidden clots that steal your future while you sleep. Today, we're going to expose 9 common movements that might unknowingly be putting your brain in serious jeopardy, even if you feel strong, active, and convinced you're doing everything right. Because what was once perfectly safe in your younger years can, in this stage of life, become unexpectedly hazardous. Pay close attention, because what you're about to discover could genuinely be the most vital health information you encounter all year. Information that truly has the power to save your independence, or even your life. To ensure you never miss crucial health tips like these, consider connecting with us. And if you find these insights valuable, let us know by engaging below. One such movement, seemingly harmless and even beneficial, is toe touches and forward bends. This simple action of bending forward to stretch your back or legs, perhaps touching your toes before bed, or merely picking up a laundry basket, is a motion you've performed for decades without a second thought. Yet, I've seen it quietly tip the brain toward a stroke, particularly in older adults. For younger individuals, the body readily adjusts to shifts in posture. However, after the age of 60, the vital sensors in your arteries that regulate blood flow to the brain, known as baroreceptors, become less sensitive. This means a quick bend can cause blood to rush away from your brain, and your body can't react swiftly enough to correct the flow. While you might feel a fleeting moment of lightheadedness, or perhaps nothing at all, something far more serious may be unfolding internally. When blood flow drops suddenly and repeatedly, as with multiple forward bends or toe touches, your brain becomes momentarily starved of oxygen. This doesn't always lead to fainting, but it creates conditions ripe for serious problems. Thickened blood, slowed circulation, and, in some instances, the silent formation of dangerous clots. When these tiny clots find their way into the delicate, narrowed arteries deep within your brain, the consequences can be profound. These can lead to speech loss, vision changes, balance issues, or even permanent paralysis. I'll never forget Mr. Edward Millstone, a 74-year-old retired history teacher from Nebraska. Edward was remarkably active, taking pride in his daily morning stretches, including 5 or 6 toe touches. One morning, after his usual routine, he felt a brief dizzy spell, which he quickly dismissed. Hours later, while gardening, he collapsed. He was conscious, but unable to move his right arm or leg. Scans at the hospital revealed an ischemic stroke. A clot had blocked blood flow to the motor area of his brain. Our investigation linked it back to those toe touches. His aging vascular system simply couldn't handle the sudden postural shift, leading to sluggish blood and a quietly formed clot. Edward eventually regained the ability to walk with a cane, but his right hand never fully recovered. He lamented, "I thought stretching was saving me, but it nearly ended me." This underscores a crucial truth many seniors don't hear. It's not about stopping movement entirely, but understanding how your aging body's capabilities have changed. A bend that felt good at 40 could be dangerous at 70, especially if you're on blood pressure medication or wake up dehydrated, which is common for many seniors. If you must bend, do so slowly, breathe deeply, and consider performing tasks like putting on socks while seated. If dizziness occurs during these movements, stop immediately. It's not a minor inconvenience. It's your brain issuing a serious warning. The most dangerous strokes are not the sudden, dramatic ones, but those that quietly accumulate from routine motions performed too fast, too often, or for too long in a brain that's no longer 30. If a simple stretch can send your brain into crisis, consider the risk of inverted yoga poses, where blood shifts directly into your skull. Many older adults embrace yoga as a path to graceful aging, promoting stretching, breathing, and calmness. While gentle yoga can be incredibly beneficial, certain inverted poses carry significant risks for the brain that most seniors are never warned about. I'm referring to poses like legs up the wall, downward dog, or even simple forward folds where the head drops below the heart. These positions, often marketed as relaxing, can cause a rapid and dangerous surge of blood flow towards the brain, especially in those over 60. When this increased pressure impacts aging blood vessels, which may already be stiff, inflamed, or weakened by years of high blood pressure or cholesterol, it can cause them to swell, rupture, or spasm. Our cerebral autoregulation system, the brain's natural pressure valve, becomes less efficient with age. While a younger body readily compensates for sudden position shifts, an older adult's brain may experience blood pooling and pressure spikes from just a few minutes of tilting the head downward, destabilizing oxygen flow. Combined with existing hypertension, an undiagnosed aneurysm, or certain blood pressure medications, the outcome can be catastrophic, potentially forming clots in the brain's most delicate regions. Mrs. Evelyn Thomas, a vibrant 74-year-old retired art teacher, is a case that still haunts me. She attended gentle yoga classes twice a week, loving the community and how it made her feel youthful. One morning, during a pose with legs against the wall and her head downward, she experienced a sharp pain behind her eyes. She shrugged it off, finished class, and rested at home. That night, her daughter found her confused and unable to speak, collapsed beside her bed. Scans at the hospital revealed a small hemorrhagic stroke in the back of her brain, a rare but devastating bleed, often triggered by a spike in cranial pressure. Her blood pressure medications combined with the inverted pose had created a perilous situation where vessel walls strained, blood pressure wildly fluctuated, and a clot formed and ruptured. Evelyn survived, but her left-sided vision is permanently blurred, and she struggles with speech, a poignant loss for a woman once known for her wit. The tragedy was entirely preventable. She was never warned that senior safe poses might not be safe, given her medical history. Her instructor lacked geriatric-specific training. Age alters the rules. The arteries supplying your brain are no longer flexible hoses, but more like fragile garden hoses susceptible to bursting or clogging from even slight pressure shifts. When blood pools in an unintended area or circulation slows in a compressed position, your body's natural attempt to form clots for protection can ironically become the very mechanism that robs you of your independence, or even your life. So, if you practice yoga, inquire about your instructor's training in geriatric care, especially concerning cardiovascular or neurological conditions. Avoid any pose where your head drops significantly below your heart, skipping inversions entirely in favor of safer, seated alternatives. If you ever feel lightheaded, experience pulsing behind your eyes, or profound fatigue after yoga, your body is not being dramatic. It's providing a critical warning. Sometimes what feels good in the moment isn't ultimately good for your body, especially as you age. You might be surprised to learn that heavy lifting, Even something as innocuous as grocery bags can pose a serious stroke risk. There's an admirable drive to remain strong and independent in our later years. Carrying groceries, lifting grandchildren, moving boxes. Yet, most older adults are unaware that even modest lifting, particularly with breath holding or straining, can cause your blood pressure to surge dramatically within seconds, creating a perfect storm for a stroke. You don't need to be weightlifting at the gym to be in danger. I've witnessed strokes triggered by merely moving a garden hose, lifting a heavy purse, or carrying a laundry basket. The weight itself isn't the primary issue. It's the sudden internal pressure you generate when straining. Medically termed the Valsalva maneuver, unconsciously holding your breath while lifting triggers a rapid increase in blood pressure, intensifying pressure within your chest and brain, and potentially disrupting circulation in critical arteries. For an aging body where arteries may be narrowed, stiffened by plaque, or weakened by years of high blood pressure or diabetes, this sudden surge can be deadly. Vessel walls may crack, or a hidden clot could dislodge, traveling to the brain and cutting off oxygen. This damage can occur in mere seconds, often unnoticed, until the consequences are devastating. Consider Mr. George Pickett, an 82-year-old retired firefighter. He was strong and fiercely independent. He always helped his wife unload the car. One afternoon, lifting a heavy box of canned goods, a routine task, he paused mid-lift, clutched his head, and collapsed. In the ER, he couldn't move his right side or speak clearly. Scans revealed an ischemic stroke from a clot in his middle cerebral artery, one of the brain's most vital pathways. His blood pressure had spiked during the lift, dislodging silently accumulated plaque. That moment of proud strength irrevocably altered his life. George now uses a walker, and his speech is labored. This is the silent danger nobody warns you about. While staying active is encouraged, no one explains the threshold when movement becomes too much, too fast, or too unbalanced for your aging body. Your margin for error is gone. Every breath, every lift, every ounce of pressure on your arteries now holds greater significance. So, if you catch yourself holding your breath while lifting, stop. That's a critical warning sign. Dizziness, lightheadedness, or tension across your chest or neck afterward isn't just fatigue. It could indicate a stroke silently forming. Lift smaller loads. Don't hesitate to ask for help. And utilize carts or tools. Protecting your independence means exercising caution, not recklessly proving strength. A stroke doesn't always feel like pain. Sometimes it feels like nothing at all until it has stolen your words, your balance, or your very future. If merely lifting a box can imperil your brain, imagine the danger when your own body seemingly turns against you the moment you stand up. Sudden standing exercises or rising too quickly from a seated position appear to be the simplest of movements, performed dozens of times daily. In fact, many balance and mobility programs encourage seniors to practice getting up and down without using their hands. However, no one tells you that standing up too fast, especially without support, can paradoxically trigger the very stroke you're trying to prevent. The mechanism is simple. The moment you stand, gravity pulls blood away from your head towards your legs. A younger person's body swiftly reacts, tightening blood vessels and accelerating heart rate to propel blood back to the brain. But after 60, this automatic response falters. It's slower, weaker, and sometimes fails completely. This risk intensifies with high blood pressure, diabetes, medications like beta blockers or diuretics, or even mild dehydration, a common, often unrecognized issue in seniors. When you stand suddenly, your brain might not receive sufficient blood supply quickly enough, resulting in a dangerous moment of low oxygen. If your vessels are already narrowed or inflamed, this scenario fosters the formation of blood clots that can then lodge in fragile cerebral arteries. You don't need to faint for this to occur. You might only experience a fleeting dizziness or disorientation. Yet, within that brief window, a stroke can silently and invisibly begin to form. Consider Mrs. Carol Jensen, a spirited 79-year-old retired school principal, committed to staying active. She diligently followed her physical therapist's advice to perform repeated sit-to-stand drills from her kitchen chair without using her hands, often doing 5 rapid repetitions, believing it improved her balance. One morning, after a quick session, she stood up swiftly and reached for the counter, then paused, telling her husband, "I feel strange." Within seconds, her right side weakened, and her speech faltered. Hospital scans revealed a left-sided ischemic stroke caused by a clot in her middle cerebral artery, alongside signs of vascular inflammation and low morning hydration. She was utterly unaware that an activity as straightforward and encouraged as standing too quickly had unleashed the most terrifying moment of her life. Today, Carol walks with a cane, but struggles significantly with speech and memory, all because she stood up too fast. This story is far from unique. Emergency rooms frequently encounter strokes that begin in this manner, not from trauma or unhealthy habits, but from a well-intentioned exercise mismatched to the body's current reality. Aging profoundly alters how your blood vessels react, how rapidly your brain can rebalance pressure, and the vulnerability of your oxygen supply. The body you possessed at 40 is not the body you have now. This is a natural process, not a failure. However, pretending it's the same is the true risk. Therefore, never rise without support. Pause briefly when standing. Utilize chair arms if necessary. Take a deep breath, allowing your brain time to adjust before moving. If you ever feel dizzy after standing, it's not simply aging, it's your brain sending a critical warning. In this phase of life, speed can be an enemy, and rushing from one position to another might cost you clarity, independence, or even the ability to articulate your own name. Remarkably, even walking, often touted as the safest and most recommended exercise for seniors, can subtly harm your brain, particularly in warm weather. Walking in heat or humidity without proper hydration creates a dangerous environment where dehydration combines with blood thickening. For many older adults, a daily walk, perhaps after breakfast to enjoy birdsong or in the afternoon for fresh air, is a cherished ritual widely recommended by doctors and wellness programs. While walking undeniably benefits brain and heart health, context changes everything in later life. One of the riskiest mistakes my older patients make is walking in hot, humid conditions without adequate hydration or awareness. It feels innocuous. Stepping outside on a warm morning, feeling a gentle sun and soft breeze. But what your body feels and what your brain experiences can be vastly different, especially after 60. As we age, our thirst response diminishes. We often don't feel thirsty until we're already dehydrated. Add in blood pressure medications, diuretics, or conditions like heart failure or diabetes, and your body's fluid regulation ability is significantly compromised. So, when you walk and sweat, even lightly, and fail to replenish those fluids, your blood volume decreases, circulation slows, and what was once thin, freely flowing blood becomes thicker and more concentrated, a condition known as hemoconcentration. For an aging body with narrowed or stiffened arteries, this is where danger begins. Your blood becomes sticky, your vessels tense, leading to the formation of clots in the most critical areas. the arteries supplying your brain. Consider Mr. Harold Dunn, an 84-year-old retired postal worker, meticulously disciplined about his health. Every day after lunch, he'd take a long neighborhood walk, believing it kept him young. But in July, as humidity soared and temperatures consistently topped 90 degrees, Harold stubbornly stuck to his routine, assuring his wife, "I'm used to it." One morning, after a particularly hot walk the day before, Harold awoke confused. He tried to stand and immediately collapsed. At the hospital, his speech was slurred, and his right arm wouldn't move. Scans confirmed a left-sided ischemic stroke, likely from a clot formed overnight due to dehydration and slowed circulation. His blood work showed elevated hemoglobin concentration. His blood had thickened. He hadn't consumed enough fluids or replenished electrolytes. He believed walking made him stronger. But that walk in the heat, compounded by mild dehydration and his water pill for blood pressure, created the perfect storm for disaster. Harold survived, but now requires assistance to walk. He still asks me why no one warned him that walking could be dangerous under the wrong conditions. I explained to him, as I will to you, it's not the walk itself, but the circumstances and the hidden changes within your aging body that can transform something good into something deadly. Therefore, especially in summer, drink water before and after walks. Consider adding a pinch of salt or sipping coconut water to maintain electrolytes. Avoid walking during peak heat or high humidity. If you feel unusually tired, dry-mouthed, or dizzy afterward, that's not merely aging. Those are your blood vessels sending urgent warning signals. You can fall asleep feeling proud after a walk, and awaken unable to speak, move, or recall the faces of your loved ones. This illustrates how silently stroke can steal from us when we fail to heed our body's quiet messages. If summer heat poses such a risk, imagine the danger from an unthinking everyday movement, such as neck circles or jerky neck rotations, which could tear the very arteries feeding your brain. Many seniors are commonly advised to perform neck stretches to alleviate stiffness, gently tilting their head side to side or performing slow circles with their chin. It feels innocuous, even soothing, a common reflex after waking stiff or sitting too long. However, what most are never warned about, and what I've seen far too many patients suffer from, is that this seemingly innocent motion can cause a tear within one of your body's most delicate and vital arteries. For anyone over 60, such a tear might be all it takes to trigger a life-altering stroke. The vertebral arteries are deeply nestled in your neck, winding through tiny openings in your spinal bones, supplying blood to the back of your brain, the region controlling balance, coordination, and consciousness. These arteries are not designed for extreme stretching or twisting. Yet, every time you roll your neck in a full circle, especially with excessive force or speed, you subject these vessels to significant strain, much like taffy being pulled. Over time, or sometimes even from a single incorrect movement, this stretching can create a tiny tear in the artery's inner wall. In a natural, but dangerous, repair attempt, your body immediately forms a clot at the injury site. Here lies the true peril. If that clot dislodges, even partially, it can travel directly upwards into the brainstem, leading to a posterior circulation stroke, one of the most challenging types to detect and frequently the most devastating. I vividly recall the case of Mr. Dennis Lyle, a 72-year-old retired band director, a kind, active man who regularly sought ways to keep his body flexible. He'd read in a senior magazine that neck rolls were beneficial for posture. So, each morning after brushing his teeth, he'd slowly rotate his neck clockwise, then counterclockwise. One morning, midway through his second circle, he felt a sharp pain behind his ear, followed by dizziness. Moments later, he collapsed in his hallway. By the time paramedics arrived, Dennis's speech was slurred. He'd lost coordination and vomited twice en route to the hospital. Scans confirmed a dissection of the left vertebral artery, the medical term for the tear, and an acute stroke near his cerebellum. The clot had traveled, as feared. Today, Dennis relies on a wheelchair and plays the piano slowly and carefully, utterly unaware that such a gentle movement could irrevocably alter his life. And this is the danger. These are not dramatic injuries with clear warning bells. You might simply feel a pop, a fleeting moment of nausea, or an odd wave of dizziness. And by then, the damage may already be done. As we age, our blood vessel tissues lose elasticity. Medications like blood thinners or statins can make vessel walls even more fragile. A neck movement you performed effortlessly at 40 could become life-threatening at 70. Therefore, every senior must understand: cease performing full neck circles. Avoid fast or jerky turns. Never stretch your neck to its maximum limit. Instead, gently turn your head side to side within its natural range, slowly and always with support. If you feel unsteady, dizzy, lightheaded, or hear a sudden snap or click in your neck during movement, stop immediately and seek medical attention. Your neck is not just a structural support, it is a vital conduit for blood to your brain. Protect it as if your life depends on it, because it truly does. If something as seemingly gentle as a neck stretch can tear an artery, consider the implications of pushing your heart to its limit with high-intensity interval training, HIIT. HIIT is a rapidly growing trend in senior fitness centers, YouTube videos, and even Medicare-sponsored wellness programs, marketed as a miraculous time saver. Short bursts of intense exercise followed by brief rest periods promise to boost heart health, burn fat, and preserve youthful metabolism. However, what these advertisements won't reveal is that for older adults, particularly those over 60, HIIT can dangerously push your cardiovascular system past its limits, presenting a real risk of stroke, heart rhythm disturbances, and permanent brain injury. While the concept sounds promising, think 30 seconds of rapid activity like marching in place, quick squats, or modified jumping jacks, followed by short rests and repetition, for aging arteries, stiffened vessels, and a heart potentially already contending with hidden hypertension, diabetes, or years of medication. This training style is a perilous gamble. During each intense burst, your heart rate and blood pressure surge, forcing your vascular system to expand and contract rapidly. While younger bodies tolerate this, in older adults, such sudden pressure can critically stress the delicate endothelial lining within your blood vessels, the very layer responsible for smooth circulation. When this lining is overstretched or inflamed, tiny cracks can appear, or plaque can rupture. What happens next is what I fear most for my patients. Clots form. These clots can then travel, lodge in the brain, and leave you unable to speak, move, or reclaim your former life. I'll never forget Mr. Donald Whitaker, a 74-year-old retired steelworker with a strong work ethic. Determined to stay active, his daughter purchased an energizing HIIT Moves for Seniors DVD. He began each morning with short rounds of step touches, fast arm raises, and modified burpees. It felt intense, but manageable. Until one morning, it wasn't. After a 20-minute session, Donald went to make coffee. Within minutes, he felt dizzy, dropped his cup, and slumped against the counter. His wife found him unable to speak. A CT scan revealed an ischemic stroke affecting the left side of his brain. His carotid artery, a primary vessel carrying blood to the brain, had released a clot, likely dislodged by a pressure spike from one of his power intervals. His blood vessels, weakened by age and unmanaged hypertension, simply couldn't adapt quickly enough to the strain. Donald survived, but now resides in an assisted living facility, relies on speech therapy, and struggles with previously non-existent memory gaps. He once told me, "Doc, I thought I was doing what was right. I was just trying to stay young." That is the tragedy. He genuinely believed he was doing good, but his body was no longer equipped for that level of pressure. Understand this. Aging does not equate to weakness, but it means you are different. Your blood vessels lack their former elasticity. Your brain requires consistent, steady oxygen, not dangerous surges and droughts. HIIT may promise youthfulness, but if it overloads your heart and triggers a clot, it can steal your independence in seconds. If you've been doing HIIT or fast-paced routines and experienced dizziness, fatigue, or shortness of breath afterward, do not dismiss it. That isn't progress. It's a critical warning. Opt for gentler forms of movement, like steady-paced walking, resistance bands, or Tai Chi exercises that safeguard your heart and nourish your brain without harmful shock. In this stage of life, stability is power, control is health, and sudden intensity is a risk, not a friend. If high-intensity exercise poses vascular risks, it might surprise you that stretching before warming up can also quietly prepare the ground for a stroke. We've been consistently taught that stretching is beneficial. It enhances flexibility, improves circulation, and prevents injuries. Consequently, many older adults begin their mornings, golf games, or walks with a few sustained stretches. Arms overhead, calves against the wall, reaching for toes. It seems gentle, even graceful. Yet, for aging bodies, stretching before a warm-up can cause more harm than good, and in some cases, silently initiate the precursors to a stroke. Here's what occurs beneath the surface. When your muscles are cold, meaning you haven't yet walked around or moved much, your blood vessels are more constricted, your heart beats slower, and circulation is predominantly concentrated in your core, not your limbs. Suddenly imposing tension on these muscles through static stretching, especially deep hamstring or shoulder stretches, forces your arteries and connective tissues to expand before they are adequately prepared. In aging bodies where blood vessels may have stiffened, narrowed, or even calcified, this abrupt demand can send your vascular system into shock. The result is a reflexive constriction of the arteries, slowing blood flow. Pressure then builds in some regions while simultaneously dropping in others. While younger individuals rapidly adapt, older adults, particularly those with hypertension, diabetes, or prior cardiovascular issues, find this circulatory mismatch highly dangerous. Inconsistent or turbulent blood flow can foster clot formation, especially near weakened vessel linings. And when these clots travel, the brain is frequently their primary destination. I treated Mrs. Eileen Granger, a 78-year-old retired piano teacher. One morning, before her routine neighborhood stroll, she followed an online gentle senior routine, which included a long forward bend followed by quad stretches and shoulder rolls. She hadn't even walked around or had any water yet. "I thought I was being good," she later confessed. However, halfway through her walk, she felt lightheaded, and her balance faltered. By the time a neighbor noticed her distress, Eileen struggled to form words. She was rushed to the ER, where scans revealed a small ischemic stroke in her left parietal lobe. Her lab results indicated early morning dehydration and endothelial stress. Based on the sequence of events, we concluded that the pre-walk static stretching had triggered a vascular mismatch, allowing a small clot to form and lodge in a critical artery. Eileen's recovery was slow. Her memory returned, but she now uses a walker and avoids walking alone. Her stroke wasn't due to poor habits, but to a well-intentioned routine performed in the wrong sequence. Stretching a cold body and forcing blood into unprepared vessels. What should you take from this? If you're over 60, never begin your day or your workout with static stretching. Always warm up first. Walk gently around your home for 5 to 10 minutes. Swing your arms softly. Take deep breaths. Allow your circulation to awaken and your joints to loosen naturally. Stretching remains beneficial, but it must be performed after your body is ready, not before. Remember, you're not just stretching muscles. You're also stretching arteries, veins, and the delicate tissues that supply your brain. If these crack, clot, or collapse under pressure, you might not even realize it until you lose your speech, your balance, or your cherished independence. If stretching before warming up can subtly harm your brain, consider what happens when your sense of balance completely fails and you experience an unexpected fall. Balancing exercises without support, though commonly recommended, might place you one misstep away from an injury your brain may never fully recover from. Of all exercises promoted for seniors, balance training often appears the safest, aimed at preventing falls, strengthening core muscles, and preserving independence. This is true when done correctly. However, most older adults don't realize that performing balancing exercises without proper support or supervision can trigger a chain reaction leading directly to a stroke unit. As we age, our systems for maintaining upright posture, inner ear, eyes, muscles, and joints naturally decline. A small misstep, inconsequential at 40, can be catastrophic at 75. While standing on one leg or using a wobble board may sound like a good challenge, performing these without holding on to a sturdy object creates a dangerous window where a single slip or loss of footing can result in a hard fall. But the danger extends beyond the fall itself. That's just the beginning. When an older adult falls, especially impacting their head, hip, or spine, the body experiences significant trauma. In response, it releases stress hormones and inflammatory markers. Blood pressure rises, vessels constrict, and the risk of internal clot formation drastically increases. Even without a broken bone, the body may begin forming blood clots in response to the sudden trauma. If one of these clots travels, it can find its way to the brain. This is what we term the fall-stroke loop. A fall leads to clotting, and the clot subsequently causes a stroke, sometimes within hours or silently overnight. I'll never forget Walter Harris, an 81-year-old retired Navy veteran who lived alone and prided himself on staying active. He watched an online balance training video that encouraged standing on one leg for 30 seconds. One morning, he tried it without support. No wall, no chair nearby. His foot slipped on a rug, causing him to fall sideways, hitting his shoulder and lightly striking his head on a side table. "I wasn't even that hurt," he later recounted. "Just embarrassed." Yet that night, everything changed. Walter awoke confused, his right arm numb, and he couldn't form a complete sentence. In the ER, we discovered a clot in his left middle cerebral artery, typical of those that form after inflammation or vascular trauma. He hadn't hit hard enough to cause a brain bleed, but his fall had generated just enough physical stress for a clot to form and travel to his brain. The stroke severely impacted his speech, memory, and the use of his dominant hand. Walter was fortunate to receive rapid treatment, but he now requires a speech therapist and assistance with daily dressing. He told me he'd give anything to go back and simply hold on to a chair during that balance exercise. The truth is, balance training is essential for seniors, but it must be performed safely. Always practice near a stable surface, with supervision if necessary, and never on unstable floors or in socks. If unsure, begin with seated core movements or heel-to-toe walking next to a wall. The objective is strength and stability, not avoidable risk and regret. It's not merely the fall you should fear, but what the fall triggers within your body that you might never foresee. A stroke may not manifest on the day you fall. It can silently occur that night as you sleep, after the clot has formed, and your brain can no longer protect itself. After exploring 9 well-intentioned exercises that may unknowingly jeopardize your brain, you might be asking, what can I do safely? What truly protects my brain, my balance, and my independence without risk? In this final reflection, I want to walk you through the truth about exercise and aging, showing how movement, when performed wisely, can be your most powerful ally in maintaining a sharp mind and an independent life. If you've continued this far, I want to sincerely commend you. You demonstrate a profound care for your health, your future, and those who love you, showing a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. This is a strength not derived from lifting weights or mastering yoga poses, but from wisdom acquired over decades and the courage to adapt when the familiar path shifts beneath your feet. We've examined 9 common everyday movements, often undertaken with the best intentions, and seen how, under the wrong circumstances, each can become hazardous. From neck rolls and toe touches to high-intensity routines and balance drills, all these movements can be beneficial, but only when precisely matched with the reality of your aging body. The truth is simple. Aging alters everything. Your blood vessels lose elasticity. Your heart no longer reacts as quickly to changes in position. Your brain becomes increasingly sensitive to oxygen drops, sugar spikes, dehydration, and inflammation. What was once innocuous in your 40s can, at 70 or 80, quietly set the stage for a blood clot, a vessel rupture, or a brain bleed. And once a stroke strikes, nothing is ever quite the same. As a neurologist, I've witnessed this far too often. Active, careful, well-meaning patients adhering to routines they believed safe, entering my office one week and unable to speak the next. I've met spouses who never anticipated becoming full-time caregivers. I've watched resilient men and women relearn basic functions: how to feed themselves, button a shirt, recall their grandchildren's names. And I've repeatedly heard the same poignant phrase, "I didn't know. I thought I was doing the right thing." This is why I am sharing this, not to instill fear, but to reveal what lurks beneath the surface. Because knowledge, not fear, is our most potent tool for staying alive, alert, and independent. So, the crucial question now is, if these exercises carry risk, what safe options remain? How do you move in a way that safeguards your brain instead of exposing it to harm? Let's begin with the foundational principle. Movement is not the enemy. Uninformed movement is. You do not need to cease exercising. Rather, you need to exercise differently, with intention, awareness, and a profound respect for the current reality of your body. You are not fragile, but you are different, and your movement strategies should reflect this evolution. Here's what safe movement looks like after 60. Always warm up first. Never begin a workout, or even a morning stretch, without a proper warm-up. Walk in place for 5 to 10 minutes. Gently roll your shoulders and breathe deeply. This crucial step wakes up your circulation and prepares your body for safe movement. Utilize support when necessary, without apology. Balance exercises should always be performed near a wall, a sturdy chair, or a railing. Holding on is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of wisdom. The objective is to maintain upright posture and safety, not to prove self-sufficiency. Prioritize steady, rhythmic movement over high intensity. Activities such as consistent walking, tai chi, water aerobics, or light resistance band training provide immense benefits without dangerous spikes in heart rate or blood pressure. Your brain thrives on stable, consistent oxygen supply, not sudden shocks. Hydrate strategically before and after activity. Dehydration causes your blood to thicken and stresses your brain's blood vessels. Make it a habit to drink water first thing in the morning and before any physical activity, including light stretching. Integrate movement with conscious breath. Holding your breath while lifting or straining increases internal pressure, which can destabilize vessels. Every movement should be accompanied by a deliberate breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Stretch after activity, not before. Static stretching is safest when your body is already warm. Reserve longer-held stretches for after your walk or workout, focusing initially on gentle range of motion work to prepare your body. Heed subtle warnings. Dizziness, fogginess, nausea, chest pressure, or sudden onset of fatigue are not merely signs of aging. They are your brain's whispers signaling that something is amiss internally. Do not disregard them. Sit, breathe, hydrate, and seek medical consultation if symptoms persist. Engage in morning movement, avoiding late evenings. Blood circulation naturally slows down at night. Exertion late in the day can lead to delayed blood pressure fluctuations or an increased risk of clotting. Aim for morning or midday activity when your body is at its most alert and responsive. Tailor your routine with your doctor's guidance. Individual factors such as medications, past health history, and specific vascular conditions vary significantly. What benefits one senior might be dangerous for another. Always discuss your exercise regimen with your physician, particularly if you are on blood thinners, diuretics, or have a history of stroke or TIA. You still hold the pen in writing this phase of your life. This current segment of life is not about embracing limitation, but rather about practicing precision. It's about knowing your body more intimately than ever before and making choices that truly reflect your decades of invaluable experience. You have weathered losses, overcome challenges, and navigated significant changes. You have nurtured families, built careers, and contributed to communities. You have undeniably earned the right to live your final periods on your own distinct terms. This mandates guarding your brain like the irreplaceable treasure it truly is, because one seemingly insignificant movement performed at the wrong time or without sufficient support can swiftly unravel everything you have so diligently strived to protect. Yet, the precise and wisely chosen movements performed with diligent safety hold the power to bestow upon you many more years of vibrant clarity, independent mobility, and unparalleled freedom. Therefore, as you embark on your next walk, your next stretch, or any next effort to proactively nurture your health, take this profound truth with you. It is not merely about how you move, but fundamentally how you meticulously protect the magnificent brain that enables you to move at all. Ensure every step you take contributes purposefully, not just towards achieving physical strength, but toward an unwavering sense of profound safety, not just toward meeting fitness milestones, but toward the ultimate liberation of maintaining your complete independence. Because your brain is still profoundly attentive, diligently listening, and relying on you to consistently move with the utmost care and thoughtful consideration. And now, I would deeply value hearing from you. What specific insight from this discourse resonated most profoundly with you? What deliberate change are you now prepared to implement, beginning today, to further safeguard your precious health and secure your promising future? Let us collaboratively embark upon this journey of wisdom. Your brain inherently merits this profound consideration. You unequivocally deserve this enhanced quality of life. These lessons are carefully crafted not merely to inform, but to deeply inspire you to embrace life with utter fullness and unyielding authenticity. Please take a mindful moment to deeply reflect, and then graciously share just one pivotal lesson you've learned and wholeheartedly intend to apply within your very own life. Let us steadfastly support each other on this essential path toward embracing these life-affirming truths. If this video profoundly resonated with you, please consider showing your appreciation by leaving a comment with the number 1. Should you find that it did not entirely meet your expectations, kindly comment with 0, allowing us invaluable insight into how we can perpetually refine our content to better serve your specific needs. Please also remember to actively like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for an ongoing stream of equally valuable and empowering content. We extend our sincerest gratitude for watching, and we confidently look forward to a future where you continue to live your life wholly on your own well-informed and self-defined terms.